Hello, and this is Burke Lyle here. Welcome to the first episode of Atlanta and Around the Majors baseball show. So we're going to talk about the Braves losing to the Phillies 9-1 in Game 4. As I'm speaking, the Padres and the Dodgers in San Diego is getting ready to start. It's going to be a packed crowd there tonight. But I'm just going to talk about the Braves game in this first episode of this new baseball-only channel. So the Braves, defending World Series champions, all of a sudden, going into tomorrow, it could be over. And you just think about it, no team has repeated as World Series champions since the Yankees did it in 98, 99, and 2000. Every other team that has attempted to do that, including the 2001 Yankees, that were as close as anyone to winning again. 4 in a row, couldn't do it. And then every other team, the Diamondbacks in 2002 and on, could not find a way to repeat. The Phillies, I believe, in fact, I know for sure, the last team to go to to go to the World Series the following year after winning a World Series. They did that in 2009, losing to the Yankees. The Phillies right now, one win away from going to the National League Championship Series for the first time since 2010, and it has been a long time. 11 years ago, the Phillies lost to the Cardinals in Game 5 of the NLDS, the great pitchers duel. Chris Carpenter against Roy Halladay lost to the Cardinals in that Game 5. Phillies won 102 games that year. The Cardinals barely got into the playoffs that year. I think they won 90 games. Huge comeback against the Atlanta Braves to overtake them in the wild card. Back then, you had just one wild card. Now you have three. The Phillies, last team into the playoffs, and they've been kind of knocking on the door of the postseason in recent years. If they didn't expand the playoffs during the CBA, the Phillies would have been out of the playoffs every other year. This year, the Phillies are back into the playoffs, and it came going back to last week, that comeback against the Cardinals down 2-0, 6-2 win, and then winning against the Cardinals. The only loss they have in the playoffs so far, they've played 5 playoff games, has come to the Braves back in Game 2 in Atlanta, and tomorrow you have Game 4 in Citizens Bank Park with an opportunity to close out the series. And that will be it. Charlie Morton has the ball tomorrow with his postseason track record, pitching in a big elimination game. Nothing new for Charlie Morton. Nothing new for Charlie Morton pitching in October baseball. His 6th year in a row pitching in October baseball. Houston, Tampa, now Atlanta. That's all on the line. The Phillies, clearly the underdogs, last team into the playoffs, facing the defending World Series champion Atlanta Braves. And the Atlanta Braves won 101 games in the regular season. So did the New York Mets. Yet the Phillies won 97 games. Or not 97, 87 games. 87. 14 games behind those two teams. Yet here they are with a shot to advance to the National League Championship Series. The Dodgers won 110 games. The Padres won 90. Yet by tomorrow, it is possible the Padres could be in the League Championship Series as well. We could have a Phillies-Padres League Championship Series. 2 teams taking down the Dodgers and the Braves. And the Phillies can do just that tomorrow. Taking down the Braves. Again, things that stood out to me during the game. So, big storyline. Spencer Strider pitching for the first time since September 18th. And for Strider, listen, you're taking almost a month off from pitching. Yes, he threw. And originally when this first started, I don't know, about 3 weeks ago, you thought, oh, he might miss a start just to be safe. And then you thought, okay, he's going to make his next start. Then it led to the IL, 15-day IL. Was not ready to come back in time for the regular season. Regular season ended almost 2 weeks ago. And it's Game 3. And if this was the regular season, with Strider, you could send him down to AAA Gwinnett or Rome, not that far from Atlanta. Again, no pressure. Let him work through. Give him a couple rehab starts. He's fine, ready to go. Maybe even a couple starts where he's under a pitch count or limited restrictions. Yet, you go with Strider in this game, in a Game 3. You could have gone with Charlie Morton. You decided to go with Strider. And look, he looked good early on. He really did. He looked great. He looked dominant. Yet, 3rd inning is when it fell apart. And you throw Strider into this high leverage playoff situation where for so long, I mean, you think about it, your first start back, it's not, again, a chill start in Rome or a relaxed start in Gwinnett where there's no pressure. It's minor league baseball, there's no pressure. This was a postseason game, and this is game 3, 1-1, division series game in Philadelphia. Exciting crowd who has not seen a playoff game since October 7th of 2011, 11 years in the making. A crowd that is very excited for just an opportunity to be in the playoffs again. And defending World Series champions, trying to win that game 3. And high pressure situation, and it was clear by the third inning, he was just not the same. So what happened is it was Aaron Nola pitching his second playoff game, had his first playoff game last Saturday, against the Cardinals in St. Louis. So again, the Phillies on the verge of beating 2 teams that have had regular playoff appearances. The Cardinals, that was their 4th straight playoff appearance, yet they went down in the first round, wild card round, 3 years in a row. And now the Phillies are on the verge of knocking off the defending World Series champion Atlanta Braves, who are better than last year's World Series team, certainly regular season wise, but right now not postseason wise. Again, last year they lost game 1 to Milwaukee, and it was 1-1 going back to Atlanta. Again, the Brewers, who I thought could have been favored in that series, going up against a team that just simply wasn't as good. And then last year they find a way, they won those 2 games, 1-1 in Atlanta. Tonight, Braves have to win 2 in a row, including a game 5 in Atlanta, if they want to advance to the LCS, and will get a day's worth of rest after that. So it looked like the game 5 starter would be freed if the Braves can advance. So in this game, Ronald Acuna leads off of a single. First pitch, gets by. And then Olsen walks. It was 0-2. Saw a mix of fastballs and curveballs. And then Travis d'Arnaud grounds out in the first inning. And you're thinking, how far can Strider go? It didn't seem too far. I was reading the AJC not long before the game, and it looked like the Braves would use their bullpen a lot. Now, when you think of their bullpen a lot, you're thinking of more of the guys who, again, high leverage guys, which again, kind of the 3 of Minter, Iglesias, and Jansen. Again, they cover the last 3, so you kind of needed that bridge in between for sure. If it was to work out, in fact, Snicker said after the game, I think their goal was to get him to go 4 innings, didn't work. Was hoping to get him just through 3 when he started to struggle. And Strider looked great. Struck out. Hoskins with that fastball threw as hard as 101 and 99. Going all over the place, throwing really hard. Nola in the second inning was great. Struck out Harris. Ozuna chased 2 curveballs way out of the zone. In fact, I think he swung and missed at 3 curveballs in a row during that bat. Vaughn Grisham looked bad. Missed multiple curveballs, including that strikeout. And then, again, Strider strikes out Harper, seeing fastballs, and then that slider diving down and in looked quite good. And then you had Castellanos and Bohm. Yes, they did make contact, but they were late. And everything was looking good. Both pitchers had 3 Ks, by the way. And then here's a play that could have been a swing play. Alec Bohm, which the Phillies struggled eventually. This has been a problem for years. In fact, they had the worst defense of any playoff team. In fact, negative, one of the worst in the league. And by the way, again, threw a ball too low to Hoskins. It was an error. Should have been easy out. Bases empty, 2 outs. Yet, Olsen pops up, and then that error does not cost the Phillies. And then Strider, he had a 4-pitch walk to Brandon Marsh. And what I was thinking when that happened is, I wonder if this is a sign he's starting to tire out. Now, granted, regular season game, no big deal. This was a playoff game where he was healthy. It would have been different. But again, not pitching on a big league mound in a big league game in almost a month, and then being tired, those were some of the first signs that I saw that Strider was maybe starting to struggle. And then threw the ball away. Marsh goes to third, 1 out, 9th pitch. Bryson Stott, the 9th hitter. Low slider, RBI double, fouled off, fastballs away. And then really, 1-0 still. Right around 50 pitches, just trying to get through, trying to finish. 94, fastball right down the middle. You know what Hoskins did? Just crushed it to left field. He pulled it all over it. Again, the Strider that you saw in the first or the second inning was not the Strider you saw in the third inning. And again, that was a rehab start. Could have been taken out. That could have been it. 3-inning rehab start, fine. But no, this was a playoff game and a swing game where whoever won that game would be in position to win the series. And then it was 4-0, and then he gives up that hit to Real Muto. Dylan Lee comes in, Bryce Harper, lefty. First pitch, long home run, 6-0, just like that. And Brandon Marsh is retired, who actually led off that inning with the walk. So again, Marsh, who got that rally started. Phillies bat around, an interesting thing. Rocky theme music was playing at the end of that half inning. Right there, which again, Rocky, iconic Philadelphia movie, about the Philadelphia movie, that made sense. Give the Fox crew credit there for playing that. Phillies fans did this multiple times. They did the tomahawk chop, which clearly it was making fun of the Atlanta Braves, which I thought that was kind of funny. Again, the tomahawk chop, well renowned with the Atlanta Braves for the last 30 years, and usually gets louder and louder later in the season, especially in October. Also well known of Florida State as well, Kansas City Chiefs. And the Phillies fans have just had fun with it. And that's kind of what happened. And maybe there were some instances where you thought the Braves could score. Darno hit that double, but was stranded. Phillies, by the way, had much better running and scoring position. That has made the difference in those victories. Who hits better running runners in scoring position? Ozuna lost, another bad strikeout as well. And that fourth inning, they talked a lot about Spencer Strider on that broadcast. And that's what happened, by the way, in the fifth inning on a play that could have turned the momentum around. Acuna grounded out. Sixth inning, this is when the Braves really last shot to get back into it. Swanson leadoff double. Olsen walked again. And then Riley struck out that high fastball. And Darno hit a ball. 6-4-3, almost a double play, except Hoskins dropped the ball. Which again, Hoskins not that good defensively, could not make that play in game 2, which again, turning point play. It was a scoreless game up until that point with Zach Wheeler. Well, there, you drop a routine ball that is almost always caught. I mean, I've been watching baseball over the years. This is my 14th year watching baseball. Started watching in 2008. How many times have I seen a ground ball too short or third, throw across to the first baseman, from all angles? How many times does the first baseman catch it? Pretty much every single time. I feel like that's a play you make 99 times out of 100 or higher, maybe even more than that. And he dropped the ball. And this is a chance to change things. And then Ozuna grounds out. And again, seventh inning, maybe things get interesting. Orlando Arcia hits a leadoff single, pinch hitting for Grisham. That's when they took Aaron Nola out. Again, he saw the lineup through almost 3 complete times, faced 26 batters in that game. 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, did not allow earned runs, 6 strikeouts. So again, Nola, good postseason reputation right now in his career so far. By the way, Nola will not pitch again in this series if the Phillies were to win. I think would line up to pitch in game 2 of the LCS series, something along those lines. So that's what ended up happening there. And he comes out. Jose Alvarado comes in. Again, the power reliever. Wilson Contreras pinch hitting for Rosario. And he strikes out a cutter coming in. Again, a 94-mile-per-hour cutter that dropped. Acuna chases a 100-mile-per-hour fastball that's way outside for that strikeout. Would have been ball 4, and then Swanson flies out. And then, bottom half of the inning, Bryce Harper, RBI double. Almost a 3-run home run, 7-1. Castellanos, next batter, 9-1, 2-run single. And that's pretty much it from this point on. Nothing really happened after that. So again, 6th, 7th inning, maybe the Braves had a chance to make things interesting, make it closer, put pressure on the Phillies. And you know what? The Phillies just put it away. And that was it. And 9-1, they went 9-1, and that's it. And down go the Atlanta Braves as the Phillies are just 1 win away from advancing the League Championship Series. The last time they went to the League Championship Series was 2010 when they had Roy Halladay as their ace and Roy Oswalt and also Cole Hamels. Again, the last time they're in the league championship series, I lost to the Giants, who was kind of the turning point for the two franchises. The Giants went on to win that World Series this year, while the Phillies would make just one more playoff appearance until this year as well. So just who's hitting, who's hot, who's not in the series. Acuna, well, I went 1 for 4, hitting .455 in the series so far. Swanson, 167. Olsen, 375. Is that a good series so far? Austin Riley struggling. I think he's had just one hit in the series. Darno's hitting well. Harris, just one hit. Did drive in that only run, and you wonder how many more postseason, and you think Harris will drive in a lot of postseason runs throughout his career based on the way the Braves are set up. That happened there. I guess Vaughn Grisham, his first exposure. Arcia did struggle for much of the playoffs. Rosario struggling in the playoffs, so that's kind of it right there. And then for the Phillies, Schwarber's having a bad playoffs. Hoskins was having a rough playoffs until he hit that 3-run home run. Harper really good in the playoffs, hit that home run and double today. In addition to that home run last week, Harper having a good playoffs. And again, it's hard to believe that Bryce Harper got to win his first playoff series last week with the Phillies when they beat the Cardinals. First time in his career, went 0 for 4 in the first round with the Nationals. Actually won the World Series the year after he left. And for Harper, in a couple days, on Game 5. So worst case scenario, Harper's season ends on his birthday. Or the Phillies advance the day before, but Harper will turn 30. Which Bryce Harper being 30. That is hard to believe, that Bryce Harper's about to be 30. I mean, he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated back in 2009 at age 16. Was drafted in 2010. Got called up in 2012 at age 19. Was 19 during his first playoff series. 5 years later, was 24 with the Nationals, but not playing the playoffs again for another 5 years. First 3 years, the Phillies missed the playoffs when he was there. And the Phillies, again, there was a time a couple weeks ago where he thought maybe the Brewers could catch them. And the Phillies, they finished cold, yet they were able to clinch a spot in the playoffs. They got in, and here they are, 1 win away, and they're in control of advancing to the league championship series. So that's kind of the series stats right now, kind of who's hot and who's not. Again, the Phillies in their wins were able to, the bullpen was fairly good. Braves almost came back in Game 1, couldn't quite do that. So the Braves, they do have the starting pitching advantage. Charlie Morton, postseason veteran, has been there many times, including pitching the World Series of 3 different franchises. And then Max Fried in Game 5 will be on regular rest, so you would have Max Fried pitching. In that game, we didn't have in Game 1, the Phillies, ideally, I heard Rob Thompson speak to Ken Rosenthal after the game. They don't know for sure. You could try the combination of Noah Syndergaard. You could try Kyle Gibson, who down the stretch has been terrible, has allowed over a run per game. His ERA is over 9. In that last month, so just a terrible finish to the year for Kyle Gibson. Again, not the best pitcher in the world. The Phillies very well could need that A bullpen, kind of along the lines of Alvarado, for sure. Possibly Sir Anthony Dominguez. Closer, I don't know. You wonder what role Zach Eflin plays, whether you stretch him out a little bit, ask him to pitch multiple innings. So this is the Phillies to begin. So if there's any advantage that the Braves have right now, it's starting pitching. Of course, they have to win tomorrow in order to force that Game 5. So starting pitching, advantage Braves. And the Braves, again, have a lot more postseason experience. They've been there many times. This is their 5th year in a row winning these, 5th year in a row in the playoffs. Now, in terms of elimination games, I'm trying to remember, they did not play any last year. I guess 2 years ago, Game 7 against the Dodgers, they did blow that 3-1 lead. So the Braves very well could have won and could have been to 2 World Series in a row. 2019, they blew a chance to clinch against the Cardinals in Game 4. Lost Game 5 in Atlanta. It was 10-1 or 10-0 by that first inning. Just Braves didn't have it that day, and then lost to the Dodgers in 2018 in the elimination game. Actually, Game 3 when Acuna hit that grand slam was an elimination game. So the Braves, I think they won that one elimination game, lost. So I guess they're 1-3 in elimination games. So can they win 2 in a row? I mean, you think about World Series champions winning elimination games. The Dodgers had to win 3 straight against the Braves in order to win. The Nationals, 2019, had to beat the Dodgers twice. Before that, in the wild card game, had to beat the Brewers, and then the Astros twice. So the Nationals somehow found a way to win 5 elimination games that October. I don't think the Red Sox faced any that year. Houston, I know, had to come back from down 3-2 to the Yankees, and then obviously the Game 7 in Dodger Stadium. The Cubs had to come back from 3-1 to the then Indians, now Guardians. The Royals, I think, had to come back from a deficit against the Astros. Obviously, Game 7 for the Giants. I mean, you could go on and on and on when you talk about elimination games. Oh, the 2012 Giants 3-1 comeback against the Cardinals. And then also, we're down 2-0 to the Reds. So, again, won 6 elimination games that playoffs, which is just astounding. And you could go on and on. Cardinals had to win 4 elimination games that playoffs. You know, you could go way back. You could talk about this for a long time about, teams in elimination games and what they had to do in order to get there. Red Sox 04 had to win 3 straight. So the Braves winning 2 games in a row. I mean, teams can come back from 2-1 deficits. I mean, it happens plenty. I mean, the Braves can do it. I mean, they could win 2 in a row, especially tomorrow. I mean, yes, the Phillies have the momentum, but if the Braves can get through tomorrow with Morton, I would feel confident with Fried. I think they can come back and win this series. The Braves are not done. It is not over. And right now, on paper, the Braves seem like, starting pitching-wise, they're in better shape. But the Phillies' offense, can it come through again? It came through in Game 1. Then kind of went through a spell, and then it just kind of exploded in that 3rd inning. So you wonder if the offense can do the same against Charlie Morton, which Morton did. I think I looked up his splits against the Phillies, did struggle against the Phillies this year. And Morton was just down in general, kind of inconsistent this year, had good moments, then kind of struggled at times. So it'll be interesting to see who wins this series in terms of the rest of the playoff series. The Yankees and Guardians are 1-1. The Guardians finally played Game 2 after, for some reason, the American League scheduled an off day after Game 1. Game 2 was rained out in New York due to rain. Oh, hey.